welcome back to Don's Life. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. Based on the thumbnail, you can see I owe you a couple updates. So one, the speeding tickets and my journey with that, and if they're going to impact my safety rating and insurance. I've got the letter right here from the courthouse, so we'll get some insight into that. And if you watched my road trip with some of my family to the Midwest, down to Colorado and back from Canada, you'll see that we had our first check engine light in the brand new 2022 Cadillac Escalade. So let's go. So I'll bring you up to speed on the Cadillac Escalade, then we'll get into the ticket situation. So with the Cadillac Escalade, during that road trip, if you watched it, at the end of the video, you see that we got a check engine light. I didn't speak too much to it then because we had to wait for a service appointment. So that service appointment is in progress actually right now. We dropped off the truck already. But what happened was we were about an hour or so from home. We had the top up with some fuel, turned it off, filled it up, turned it back on, check engine light presented itself. At the same time as that check engine light, or shortly after, the Cadillac app, an email, and a text message all came through saying that there was a critical error with the engine and or transmission system of the vehicle, and recommendation was to get it serviced immediately. So that's what we did. We made an appointment. That's today. It's in there getting looked at. So the vehicle was fine driving home after the check engine light came on, but 3 days later, the check engine light shut itself off. So whatever diagnostics the truck was doing, at least that time, 3 days later, and it had been driven a few times in between still, it decided everything checked out okay. So we'll see what the service department says, but we do have a cold air inductions, cold air intake on there. I know some of you were wondering if they'll say it's related to that. I guess we'll find out and we'll share that later in the video. So moving on to the speeding tickets, I have 3 tickets that I was given in a 6-week period earlier this year. The first one was for excessive speed in my BMW M4. I pled guilty to it. However, I used a function that we have in our court system where you can plead guilty. However, you can basically plea in writing or email to the court where you're supposed to appear if you wanted to contest the ticket or, you know, argue a point or look for leniency. Anyway, you can email them, and in this case, I plead or asked for leniency to reduce the fine and or reduce my demerits. Because if you watch that video, you'll see that I have a safe driving record with a certain amount of demerit points. I don't have the best record, but I have a pretty good one. And I right now enjoy a 20% discount on my insurance premiums, and I have a number of vehicles insured with them. So if I get all the demerits from that ticket, it'll cost me 4 demerits, which will bring down my safe driver's rating, which is okay because I'm still at a high enough amount, I'll get a 20% discount. The problem is I received 2 more tickets after that. I received a window tint ticket, which the update on that is I paid it because it was just a fine, there were no demerits, and in the ticket it did not ask that I have it inspected to prove it was removed, so I just paid it. The last ticket, the most recent, was for, and this was more of a speed trap in a rural road kind of behind my neighborhood, so I'm not really happy with it. Not happy with any ticket for that matter. It was a speeding ticket for just a little bit over the speed limit, not substantial by any means, not like the first ticket. However, it's a $206 fine Canadian. I have a few more weeks until I decide if I'm going to pay it. I decided that I would get a quote from one of those companies that fights the ticket for you, because that infraction will cost me 2 demerits on top of the 4 from the first ticket. Well, the 4 from the first ticket, because I pled for leniency, I actually get the verdict back after August 3rd, which it's now after August 3rd, and I got that envelope right here. So I'm going to open it for this audience and let you know if I got any leniency, whether it be the fine or whether it be the demerits. Assuming that I don't get any leniency, that's why I used this service for the most recent ticket, was because if they can help me avoid getting the demerits, I'm not as worried about the fine, but avoid the demerits, then I'll keep my safe driver's discount at 20%. Or maybe I'll have no luck with any of these maybe I won't get any leniency on this verdict right here, which I'm about to open. If I don't get any leniency there, then I get hit with 4 points. And then this most recent ticket, if I don't get any help there from this company, should I choose to pay whatever fee they're going to charge me, which right now I just asked for a quote, so they haven't got back to me yet. But if I get stung with the 2 demerits from that, that's 6 demerits, that'll actually hurt me. That will bring me down to an 18% discount for my insurance. Now keep in mind that tickets stay on your record permanently. It takes a lot of time, years in some cases, depending on the infraction or the offense, for that ticket to stop having an impact on your safe driver's rating. At least that's how it is where I live in many of the Canadian provinces. So I'm just going to park up ahead and then we're going to see what this verdict says. All right, I'm parked. Moment of truth, sealed envelope. I'm a little bit nervous actually, and excited. Remember, this fine was $764 and 4 demerits. Okay, here it is. Take notice that Don's Life, my real name of course is in there, has been fined as follows. So according to the Traffic Safety Act 199 2.1, the amount of the fine is $420, so it's been reduced. There's a surcharge though of $80, so total amount due $500, due December 20th, 2022. And it does not look like, because I pled guilty and I was just looking for a reduction, it does not look like there's any wiggle room to get out of that. So the fine went from $764 to $420 plus a surcharge of $80, so $500. So I'll save $264. Well, it's something, but it doesn't say anything about the demerits. But I have another letter here from SGI. SGI is it's a Crown Corporation. They're a Saskatchewan insurance company. So this came at the same time as that letter. Dear Don, my full name, we recently received information about a traffic conviction, speed more than 35 kilometers per hour on May 22nd, 2022 that you were involved in. This conviction has reduced your safety rating under the Safe Driver Recognition Program by 4 demerit points. On the following page, you'll find a complete safety rating history as of this date. So, quick flash, there's my long list of safety violations dating back to January 1995. Keep in mind that this is anything from somebody backing into me, anything to do with my insurance, where there was an event, or even if they've improved my rating. So that's why the list looks as long as it is. But I've also been driving for many decades, so there's that too. So that's not good news. I got the full 4 demerits. That means that my safe driving insurance discount depends on this next ticket, which I am currently in the process of receiving a quote for by a third party to look at getting that reduced for me. So I need to decide. Maybe they want to charge me $300. I really don't know what the rates are. If they can guarantee that I don't get 2 more demerits, $300, which is $100 more than the ticket, is worth it. But I'm going to digest this for a little bit. Let's change subjects and get into what's going on with the Escalade. Okay, we are back with Mrs. Don's Life. That's you, obviously. Nobody in the back seat that I know of. We are on our way to the dealership because the service personnel gave you a call and they told you there indeed was something wrong, or that they discovered when they investigated further. So over to you.
So there was a previous error code that they were able to read, that there was a wiring harness chafing issue.
Wiring harness chafing issue.
Yeah.
Do we know which one?
No.
Or they didn't tell you anyway?
They didn't tell me. So if they they assumed, they never told me. And they said they took it for a test drive and there's no error code, which we already knew because it turned off. So.
Yeah, it had turned off. So hopefully you can hear my wife. She's a little soft-spoken.
Not normally.
But it's just interesting because what harness would be susceptible to chafing?
They said it was one we might have hit a bump and it started chafing, and then we hit another bump and it probably turned itself off.
And stopped chafing.
Or stopped chafing, yeah. And turned the light off. Yeah,
interesting. So it doesn't sound like it was related to the cold air intake.
No, not at all.
Which I didn't think it was, but I did have some viewers wonder if that was it, because that's the only mod that we've done at the vehicle.
Yeah, and I think they would have told me.
Yeah,
assuming they would have said something.
Yeah, and thinking back when we installed that intake, there's not any wiring, any harnesses that we had to relocate or extend or move in that install. So really, I don't think it's related to that in my opinion.
What kind of bump would we have had to hit for
I don't know.
Wiring harness to chafe for 2 hours?
Exactly. Well, we are on our way to the dealer. We're going to be there in a couple minutes. Talk to you in a second. All right, we are back in the vehicle. We have the paperwork. Just to preface this, I did do a scan with my Bluetooth scanning tool, and it said there were a couple codes. I think the reference there, you'll repeat them, and I'll do a screenshot of what my code scanning found. But yeah, walk us through what they wrote there.
So they did a 9490 diagnose SES light. It was on for a few days, but it is off now, which we know. Scan check DTC P0606 set in BCM and P00FF in BCM. Diagnosed for intermittent code setting. Checked for bulletins. Doesn't look like they had any. Engine wiring harness chafing. They inspected the suspect location, but no signs of wire chafing at this time. So they cleared the codes, and all codes are now passing test, and no further warnings are on. And then they retensed my third row seatbelt buckling. Seatbelt buckles.
Yeah. So it sounds like they retightened or adjusted the rear third row seatbelts, which is fine.
Which nobody's ever used before.
Which nobody's used yet. It's just interesting because I still baffles me where in the harnesses would it be susceptible to chafing.
Well,
small concern.
They inspected the suspected location, but
yeah,
they don't even know either.
They inspected the suspected location that was suspect, and determined that the suspect was not there. So, thank you for the update.
Yeah.
I'll take this one away and wrap it up. But for those of you that are curious, there you go.
And we're safe to drive to the lake tomorrow.
Yeah, we're safe to go to the lake. All right, we're back at the Donzite garage. They left us a nice little palm print here on the dusty intake tube. Little palm print there. Remember, we just came back from a several thousand-mile road trip to the Midwest. This is the only harness anywhere in proximity to the cold air intake. I'm not sure what other harnesses might have chafed. A little bit confusing, but it is what it is. Well, the good news is I don't think it's the cold air intake. I think we've ruled that out. So for those of you that are wondering, I think we got that answer. Now we just monitor and hope we don't get a check engine light again. Now when it comes to the tickets, let's just hope that the organization I contacted to look into my second speeding ticket can do something about the demerits. And when I find out what the quote is, I'll give you a little more insight and see what that looks like in a future video. Well, that concludes today's video. If you liked it, please hit that like button. I appreciate the support. Please consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.